we have the Warriors going 2-2 over the past week. They are currently playing. They just tipped off just under an hour ago as we started recording. They get the win versus Orlando at home on Monday, last Monday on the 3rd. They lose at Utah by 3 on Wednesday. Thursday, they lose at the Lakers by 8. They get the huge win. We'll talk about the trade that made it happen in a second. But 132 to 111 at Chicago. They started off cold in that one, but we had an old friend, Dubcon3, show up out of nowhere. Um, and they closed the gap on that and just ended up blowing them out in the fourth. They're currently 26 wins, 26 losses, 11th in the West still. So uh, I maybe cursed us a little bit by saying I don't mind so much if they're still in 11th, so long as they're at or above 500, right? And here they are at 500, still 11. Uh,
Well, they're playing the
Upcoming
Milwaukee
schedule,
Bucks right now,
yeah, yeah,
and
they're
it's,
the
39-44
yeah,
Warriors, so
Steph's at the line to shoot some
just
free
hit it,
throws right
so.
now. So 45. And so they get two more games before the All-Star weekend. The All-Star weekend is happening in San Francisco at Chase Center. So that'll be fun to watch as well. But you have games Thursday, Wednesday, and Thursday at Dallas, at Houston, and then, like we said, All Star Weekend. So this past Thursday was the NBA trade deadline. Milwaukee sent Middleton and a rookie AJ Johnson and a pick swap to Washington Wizards for Kyle Kuzma, Patrick Baldwin Jr., and a second round pick. Brandon Ingram is sent out of New Orleans to Toronto for Bruce Brown and Kelly Olynyk. With a first round pick and a second round pick as well. And then the big one that really mattered to us is Jimmy Butler officially going to the Warriors in a multi team trade. Andrew Wiggins, PJ Tucker, and a top 10 protected pick go to Miami. Lindy Waters and Josh Richardson to Detroit. Dennis Schroeder to Utah. And Kyle Anderson was originally going to Toronto, but something happened there. I think he ended up in Miami. Is that what happened there? Or I don't remember.
I thought it
I
was
left that.
Miami.
I think he ended up in Miami. So he might be a buyout candidate. We'll see what happens there. Jimmy Butler then signed a 2-year, $121 million extension after the trade was done. So it's not saving money by getting Jimmy. We're not saving money going forward in the next couple of years either. So again, another win now move. You hope that it works. Try to change it up. And I mean, they're up 9 on Milwaukee, who right now, I think before the trade deadline was I think fair to say a better team than the Warriors, and they're up right now. So that's nice. Even though they are playing without Giannis, that to be fair. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, Anthony Davis went full Anthony Davis and injured his left adductor strain, and he's going to be out for several weeks after Dallas made the trade to get him in exchange for Luca to the Lakers. And I'd kind of like to know what our friend Daniel has to say about this trade now, especially with the injury. Oh man, um, God,
Yeah, how are you if you're a Laker fan, how
yeah.
are you not stoked you got Luka and then
And then
Anthony Davis gets hurt in the debut?
like
Like
the debut game for Dallas too. Just
right,
like he
like
like I said, he went full Anthony Davis.
and
That's the
then to
most
top it
Anthony
off,
Davis thing to
all the
yeah.
Dallas, Mavericks people are saying, "Well, Luka didn't put the effort into conditioning and to keep the weight off, and he was always having these soft tissue injuries." And then and you trade for a guy who is like Mr. Glass,
Yeah.
like is a big man, but constantly is injured
Mhm.
and injured by like non-contact things, people who are smaller than him.
Mhm.
So like, as you said it, Vince, he would just went full AD.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, so we'll circle back to that in a few weeks. Probably I don't know, mid-March or so he might be back. We'll see. They're not giving anything specific. Yeah, so that's a team that may start to free fall a little bit, like there's an opportunity for the Warriors to sneak in right there. Um, I don't know where exactly they are in the standings. I'll have to look it up. But I mean, if you're looking at right now, the Warriors in 11th, right? You're trying to find a way to sneak into that top 10 at least, right, to get into the play-in tournament. Because once you're in, like that's and you know whatever happens happens.
Absolutely.
So right now, the Mavericks are in eighth. Okay. They're only a game and a half up on the Warriors. So that's a team that you absolutely can catch. The Kings, the Suns, and the Warriors are all tied at 26 wins, 26 losses. So they're right there as well. The Kings traded, I mean, we talked about it last week. So I think the Kings became sellers as well, right? I mean, when you trade De'Aaron Fox, like that's to me, that's putting up the white flag. You're calling it, you think you're done, you think you're cooked, as far as I'm concerned. So, I mean, there's two spots right there. The Suns weren't able to get KD trade. They wanted to get the Jimmy Butler thing done, but they couldn't get the KD of it to work as well, I guess. So, I mean, they're in a little bit of trouble too. The Clippers, until the Clippers actually like do something worth note, I'll continue to believe that they're fraudulent.
Yeah, I
Uh,
agree.
yeah. So those are your 7 through 10, 7 through 11. Really, is Clippers in 7, Mavericks 8, Kings 9, Suns 10, Warriors 11. The Spurs are currently 3 games behind the Warriors, which means they're also 3 games behind the Suns and the Kings. So I think there's an opportunity here, though, uh, because they made that De'Aaron Fox trade. That's obviously something they see an opportunity to turn the table a little bit and get into the playoffs, or at least in the play-in tournament. And I think the Warriors felt that too, and that's why they made the Jimmy buckets trade, right? And so if you've got the Mavericks and the Kings falling out of it, Spurs and the Warriors could
Yeah,
feasibly get into it. So and anybody below the Spurs, I don't think is even worth talking about. Yeah, so I think there you go. Like I think that's the thing to look out for the last 30 games of the season. We're at 52 games played right now. There's 30-ish left for every team, give or take. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at right now going forward is the Kings and the Mavericks falling out of the playoff play-in tournament, and the Warriors and the Spurs taking advantage. The Spurs have a bit of a hike to go to get there. Like I said, they're 3 games back right now, and for they're 4.5 back of Dallas right now as it stands. So that's a little bit further to reach, but I think the Warriors have an opportunity to get up to the 8, you know, and then that would have the Suns and then the Spurs, and maybe the Kings still hang in there anyway, but like this is the time is now. Like we said it before, it's win now mode. So
yeah,
it's time to start winning more than you lose. And winning in Milwaukee even without without
with
Giannis there is
Giannis.
gonna
Yep,
it's gonna help. So
absolutely.
yeah, there we
I
go.
I like
That's yeah.
when I break down the Jimmy trade, I think, like, going in, I think all of us were all kinda like, "Ah, I don't know if that really
It's it
puts
was
you
a
in."
personality thing was what we were
Right, like,
worried about. His personality.
does it put you in a championship window again? And I think most of us would say, like, probably not, but can you be competitive? Um, when I look at the trade, yeah, you give up Wiggins and the first round draft pick, but if you're able to make the playoffs and then do anything in the playoffs, like if you're able to get out of the play-in tournament and hopefully get out of that first round of the playoffs, like who cares about that first round draft pick then? Like, can you just be sneaky good? Can you just see what happens and maybe the lottery goes your way? But also like even with Jimmy Butler signing the 2-year extension with what Wiggins had left on his new contract, like, you're not saving any money, but you're trading 4 years with Wiggins and 2 years for Jimmy Butler. So, you're kinda accelerating that, getting rid of that contract a little bit sooner. he is a little bit older, player, but I think he fits your team better now. We talked about this yesterday when everybody was here. We talked about, the impact that this can have on some of the younger players, and specifically Jonathan Kaminga. I think this is, you know, if Jonathan Kaminga could develop into something anything close to what Jimmy Butler um, is a huge win for the Warriors. And when you get Jonathan Kaminga back for the, final leg of the season, that's like trading for someone and getting them back on your team. So it makes you deeper. It makes you a stronger team, especially, defensively and obviously Kaminga scoring, being able to get to the hoop. When's the last time the Warriors had somebody that can do what Jimmy Butler does? Get to the hoop, get fouls, get foul
Right.
calls, and drag certain team players over the finish line.
Mhm.
So, it's been all Steph for this era of the Warriors, obviously. It creates a lot of opportunity that, Jimmy Butler's a hell of a passer. And I think that's going to help some of the younger guys. I mean, just this game
Yeah.
alone, I've been seeing pods drain some threes and,
Mhm.
the young guys are stepping up. And I think that's the Jimmy Butler effect is it's bringing some of the younger guys up and
Mhm.
God only knows what practices are going to look like with him in there. So I think things are
Yeah.
leveling up a notch and that
Mhm.
matters, how you practice matters, when it comes to game time. We hear about it all the time from championship level teams about how hard they practice and how hard they train and go at it and so I think it's all of the stuff that you can't put in a metric, the scores, the box scores. Those are the things that the Warriors traded for, and I mean they got a big alpha dog in the locker room,
Mhm.
and I think
Literally,
that's something.
me
That's
me
something.
going me looking up at my TV right now, like Jimmy Buckets was literally like fighting over a ball and then dished it out to like Steph, who then swung it around to Pajinski. He missed, but the fact that, to what you're talking about, just like somebody down in there willing to like uh, get get a little grimy, do the dirty stuff, somebody to help Draymond with that stuff too,
Absolutely.
uh, I think that's going to help the defense tremendously as well. It's going to be interesting to see where the defense ranks basically from here going forward. The
Absolutely.
last 30-ish games for every team I want to see, like obviously the first half of the year versus even if we just take it to the all from after the All-Star break happening this weekend, it'll be interesting to see from All-Star game through the end of the season where the Warriors rank defensively. And most of the time your NBA champion is a top 10 defense, right? And does this trade make the Warriors a top 10 defense? I'm not going to rule it out. I'm not going to say definitively yes, but I'm not going to rule it out, it's certainly he's one of the best two-way players, and it was just a matter of the attitude. How is he going to like mesh with the locker room? And that's I think what we were concerned about. But, I mean, we're a handful of days in. Obviously, too soon to tell on that, but so far it's better than it's been good so far. He chose number 10, and then he like posted pictures of all the number 10s, and a lot of them were like all time great soccer players. But then he also had Tim Hardaway Jr. on that little montage too when he posted it. So he's yeah, he has greatness on his mind, like Steph does, like Draymond does. So that kind of mentality, a true winner and a guy like you said that can drag other players along with him, at least in the short term, I think it's going to help a lot
Check
going
this out,
forward.
Vince. The Warriors points per game average
Mhm.
111.9.
Yeah,
Opponent point per average, so this is their defense, 111.9.
yeah, that sounds like a
So
500 team to me.
or a 500 team. So we got to believe that the defense and the scoring is going to get better. So you got to think that at some point the offense is going to outpace the defense a little bit,
Yep.
especially if you start stacking some wins. If you can get on a roll here and stack some wins going into the All-Star break, you're going to see right now they're right at number 10 with
Mhm.
points allowed. So they're at 10. So if you could
Okay.
get your defense into top 6, top 7, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's a
S
huge difference
Yeah,
on what
yes,
you're doing, and then
and
your offense.
suddenly we become a pain in the ass for any team we play in the playoffs too, you know? Like
Absolutely.
it's the story of that low seed that nobody wants to play. Um, Pain in the ass, and then we circle back to the old cliche, the playoff experience, right? The championship DNA that you love to talk about so much,
Favorite
but
saying.
favorite
Favorite saying
saying.
ever.
But the idea is there is experience there, at least, and Jimmy has his own experience, like single-handedly dragging the Heat to a couple different NBA finals. Ultimately not able to get that particular job done because he's one man, he can only do so much, you know? Uh but
Absolutely.
yeah, just overall, I think we're pretty excited for this trade to see how it shakes out, going for the rest of the season, and then 2 more years after that.
Yeah,
So
you gotta think the honeymoon can last a little bit beyond, the
yeah,
initial season, so maybe
e-
into next
especially
season.
if this year goes off, well. Like if this year goes well, he shows up next year. Maybe emo Jimmy is back and having fun or whatever. uh yeah, so this is the opportunity, right, that we were looking for. The front office made the move. We said they needed to make a move of some kind. They made the move. Now we just see how it works out.
I'll close on
It's fall where they
this.
may.
I'll close on this with the Warriors. My thoughts is we when the trade happened, nobody was like, "Oh my god, we got Jimmy Butler." There wasn't like this overwhelming sense of excitement. I think it was like, "Wow, it's happening." Oh, like there's a little bit of like indifference, I'll say. And I made the comment a few years ago, 15, 20 years ago, we traded the Warriors traded for Larry Hughes and we were excited for
Mhm.
that,
Yep,
you
that's
know,
right.
and
Hmm.
all of these championships and all of this winning, and we're Warriors fans have become numb to the effect that, yeah, you got an older Jimmy Butler, but he is still a really good Jimmy Butler. And we're like, it doesn't move the needle.
Yeah.
Like that to me is like that to me, like the Warriors have been really good for a really long time, but I also remember the before Curry times. I
Hmm.
remember how bad this was. I remember like hoping we would get to 20 wins, Vince. Like I
Yeah.
remember this.
Hmm.
A
I
majority of my
so
Warrior fan life was losing,
Yep.
um, letting people
Hmm.
know where
Same.
Golden
Yeah.
State was. They didn't know where it was. What city is that? What state is that in? They didn't know where it was. So I guess my overall thing is to really to acknowledge the ownership in the front office of the Golden State Warriors that even though it's not a trade that we all wanted, it's not of course we all wanted a shot at Luca if that door was open. Of course. But you know what? Thank you to Joe Lacob and the Golden State Warriors to keeping this team competitive, to going out and getting, yeah, aging superstar, but you went out and got a superstar. We have seen too many times the Oakland A's just not give a you know what about winning or signing players and just letting the product die on the vine.
Mhm.
So thank you, Golden State Warriors, Joe Lacob, the entire front office for
Mhm.
doing this trade. I don't know if it puts us over the top, but makes it a
We're
hell of a lot more entertaining to watch. So
we're
thank you
we're
so
be
much.
yeah, yeah, like we had complained in weeks past that it's
They
just
were
like
mid, they were boring.
it was a rough, like terrible 500 team to watch, so this is going to be fun, at least at the very least. They're a lot more watchable today than they were like 5 days ago. And I mean, I remember being in college, like I happened to be away at San Diego, down in college down there when, like right after the We Believe season. And my roommates, I had two Lakers fans and a Celtics fan, and those were the teams that met in the finals that year. So that was kind of, they're like, all right, go Lakers, go Warriors. And I'm just like, go Warriors. like, but now, it's like, go Warriors, right? It's, I remember it too. And I am super appreciative. And I always say to remember where you came from, right? And we
Absolutely.
came from the bottom.